Alright folks, so I have my voice is coming back a little bit. So I started changing the oil on the bike and I forgot to do a vlog on it. But I haven't changed that much. So 17 millimeter socket. 17 millimeter. You warm the engine up for a couple minutes, I got it up to about 120 degrees or so, 130, somewhere around there. Pull the bolt off right there. The bolt's right there. Let the oil drain into the pan. Now put the pan over this way so it doesn't spill all over the floor. And then once it went to a little bitty small dribble, I move the pan over so I can take the oil filter off. Now the oil filter, the original filter that comes on this bike, it's right there. It's all 4-cylinder Japanese bikes I've ever seen have the oil filter like right in here between the exhaust manifold right there. This one's actually got a 4-into-1. It goes off the side, actually 4-into-2. There's 2 pipes there, but they're all on one side. They're only on one side of the bike right there. So these 4 go into these 2 right here. So it's not usually got 2 out of one side, 2 out of the other, and the filter's right dead in the middle. So be careful, the pipe's kind of hot because the bike's been running for a few minutes. So I'm going to take the filter off. Now the filter that comes on the bike, set my camera down here. The filter that comes on the bike is doesn't have a square part in the center, like the filter wrench has a little place to put a socket in the middle, or a 3/8 socket, 3/8 hole in the center, or socket. This one here just takes like a 19 millimeter. It's not supposed to be, according to the manual, you're supposed to, ow, I just burnt my hand on that, ouch. According to the manual, you're supposed to do this. That goes. Okay, so according to the manual, the filter, you're supposed to hand tighten the filter and then torque it with a wrench. You're actually supposed to torque it down with a wrench, according to the manual. So I'm gonna torque this one down. I gotta check the manual and see what the specifications are. But basically, this is how I get the oil onto the. Also, they suggest that you pre-fill the filter, the new filter, with oil, because these bikes, the motors in these Kawasaki's, they don't. The Kawasaki's, the motors, the filter stays empty for too long, and it'll make the engine run, the top end, without any oil for a minute, like for a minute or two, for a couple minutes, which is not good for the engine. So a better solution is to pre-fill the filter, put the oil on it, pre-fill it with oil, carefully put it on there, pre-filled with oil, and then what they require, I've seen several people say, is to burp the engine. So basically fill the engine with oil, start it, and right after you start it, loosen the filter and loosen the filter a little bit until oil starts coming out, then tighten it back so that you can see that it's pumping the oil out of the filter. It's burp the air out of it, get the air out of the filter. That's actually an extra step they suggest. Several people online I've seen suggested that. Now, as far as oil goes, back when I had my Yamahas, I always put in Yamalube, but I looked it up, and they actually suggest Kawasaki. I know Kawasaki makes lube, but if you look at the owner's manual, it tells you the specification of oil. It doesn't say you specifically have to use Kawasaki. So any type of motorcycle oil that's made for some clutch, is fine for the thing. Do not put car oil in your motorcycle. Engine oil for a car is not made for the transmission and the clutch, the wet clutch in a motorcycle, especially one like this that has automatic clutch. So it basically has blip shifting it. You can shift it without the clutch. To have those systems and parts run smoothly and shift smoothly, you need the proper oil in them. So do not try and skimp out and buy some cheap oil, cheap car oil, and stick it in your bike, because you're gonna the only thing you're doing is messing up your bike. You don't want to do that. So the filter I picked up was K&N 303. Now I looked it up. See, this filter has a little space for a wrench to go right on the end of the filter. So you don't even need this to put it on. It's the same exact filter. This pushes on all the way if you push it hard, but you can just do it with a wrench. So basically you just want to hand tighten it. So it's basically this exact same filter. I got the K&N filter. What I do is, instead of putting the oil on my finger and rubbing it on there, just rub them together. See, now I put a bead of oil on the edge of the filter. It's a handy way of doing it. So, and the oil I bought, the only thing is it won't stand up. The oil I bought is Valvoline 20W54 stroke. Now I looked it up, and everybody with the Versys 1000 said either 1040, which is the recommended 1040 synthetic, or 2050 if you live in a hotter state. Now, I don't know about what you guys think, but I would definitely say that Florida was a hotter state. we don't even get winter until much later than everybody else. So, and even then, it's still not cold enough to where you have to really do too much as far as keeping cool. So I'm gonna pre-fill the filter. I'll just put oil in it. Oh, let it drop down in there. Pretty good. I'm gonna try and keep it from spilling now while I put it on here. I'm gonna put a little bit of that clean oil on the edge here too, just anyway. But now I'm gonna put it up. I spit it on real quick before the oil has a chance to come out. I hand tightened it. Now, normally that's all you do is hand tighten it, but I've got a torque wrench here somewhere. I'm going to stick the torque wrench on it and torque it down. But I'm not going to torque it down until after I start it and burp it. From what the other guy says to do. That's what people have said to do, is to start it and burp it. Okay, so I got to just put the bolt back in here. I'm just going to stick it in by hand, make sure it threads in good. Get all that metal and stuff out of there. Alright, that's a, what did I say, that was a 17 millimeter. So, 17 millimeter socket back on it. You don't have to torque this thing down like crazy. You just have to get it snug. You don't have to. It doesn't have any pressure on it. It's just coming straight out. You just want to make sure it doesn't fall off while you're going down the road. What is it on the? What's the one on the filter? '17 works on the filter too. So. Got that ready. All right, so here's a tip. In a pinch, if your funnel is too small, just make a paper funnel and use some tape and make a little paper funnel that'll fit in the hole, and then you can put oil in your bike or car or whatever. I'll hold the filter and pour it in. How's that? Paper funnels work. So I'm taking this Valvoline motorcycle, 20W50 4-stroke motorcycle oil. Put it in. This bike requires 4 quarts if you change the filter. So I changed the filter, should take exactly all 4 quarts. Pretty simple. Change the filter, put 4 quarts of oil in it, right? It's got a new filter, so 4 quarts of oil. Get every drop of that oil, it's expensive. So that motorcycle oil's about twice as much or close to it than regular conventional auto oil. I guess they just assume you're not gonna ride your bike as much as you drive a car, but that's not really the case. A lot of people, especially in European countries, they ride their motorcycles more than they do cars. America's doesn't have the. In America, we don't have the same ideas about motorcycles that they have in European countries. In European countries, they don't have the stigmatism of biker gangs and stuff like we have here in America. In America, you have a bunch of the Harley guys that were in gangs in the 70s and caused all kinds of trouble. You know, not just Harley, but just the biker gangs in the 70s. Want to run robbing stuff and into crime and stuff like that. So it got a bad, motorcycling got a bad stigmatism because of that. I think it's because of that. I could be wrong. You know, got a bad rap. Starting to rain. Welcome to Florida. What time is it? 5 o'clock? It's 4 o'clock. It rains in Florida at 4 o'clock every day. Just about. Is oil number 4. On the outside there. Not much. A little bit, just on the very outside. It shouldn't be too. The only thing I don't like about motorcycles, checking the oil on motorcycles, is you have to use a little sight glass. There's a little sight glass here. If it's between the lines, then it's full of oil. Just put a stick in it. Why can't you put a dipstick in it? I mean, it would make sense. Perfect logical sense. Make perfect sense. That's it. It's full. Up. I can tell what it did. You can hear it when I back the filter off. You can hear it like air come out. It's just a minor amount of air. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But you also don't want to be revving the bike up real high until that oil circulates really good throughout the engine. But now I can also turn on my shift light to closer to 10,000 RPM. I'll probably do it 9.5 or something. So it's a little bit before the 10. Anyway, that's it. That's it. It's ready to go. Alright, so give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. If you think I'm just silly for making just regular vlog videos about stuff like changing my oil.